Yo, Sway in the morning, Shade 45. Man, I just want to shout out all these folks that have been hitting us. In case you didn't hear it, I was nominated for the National Radio Hall of Fame for music on air personality, and I've been getting a lot of love. Heather B, a lot of people been hitting me, just saying some really amazing things. It's an honor to get nominated for that prestigious award because some of the folks that have been nominated in the past, and one of the people that have been nominated in the past is someone that I tremendously look up to. He's one of those people that, man, that you can model your career. When kids ask me or when folks ask me about broadcast journalism, what do you suggest I do? And I tell them, study the greats, and look what the greats do, not just on air, but look what they do off air. That's what makes them great. You can become a voice through your platform to help entertain people, keep them informed, of course, tell them what's the latest in culture. Of course, it's when you step outside of that and you become the director of the local the NAACP branch. It's when you do things like that, when you do fundraisers and you do food drives and you break world records for speaking for 52 hours consecutively, when you receive awards like Freedom of Speech Awards or the Americans Noteworthy Community Leaders Award, when you start being recognized for those things like that, it's when you know you're walking on the path of greatness. And especially if you get the Achievement in Radio Award for Best Non-Drive Time Radio Show, Best Spot News Broadcast, Best New Talent Award, all of these different things. One of the guys I consider somebody I look up to and learn from and feed off of, and still sharp and still. He keeps me sharp, make sure I know my information. I'm enunciating correctly. Heather B, make sure I know what's on the pulse of the community. I'm talking about the legendary, iconic one himself. We got him on the line right now. Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, is online. Give him a round of applause.
Hey,
Go,
Joe. Don't stop.
Don't stop. Come on.
See, that's how I like it. You see what Joe did right there, Sway? That's what I'm talking about. Don't stop, baby.
Don't stop.
No, man. Why is this? Look,
Man, come on, Joe.
I was gonna tell your audience. I just got through doing an interview with Lou Gossett, and I told Lou, I said, I got to go. He said, well, we're just getting started. I said, look, I got to talk to Sway. So, anyway, man, look, I'm gonna make it very clear. Last year, I'm gonna tell people the honest goodness truth. So last year, I finally, after 2 attempts, get into the Radio Hall of Fame. And most people, it's funny. I told the audience, most people, they kind of say, "Oh, I don't care about it," and those are usually the people who don't get nominated or win. But I told folks during the acceptance, and that there's no way I'm going to stand up here and accept this honor, and it is an honor. I'm not going to pretend it's not. But there are people like, and I mentioned Donnie Simpson. I mentioned a couple other people, and I said Sway needs to be in this Radio Hall of Fame. And I was very sincere about that. Sway should have been in that Radio Hall of Fame before Joe Madison should have been in there because of what you have done in your venue, in with your platform and your broadcast. And then 2 weeks later, Sway, I get this call, would you be on the nominating committee? And so I said, yeah, I'll accept it big time. And so my first nominating committee meeting or phone call we had, okay, folks, start giving me some names. And you were at the top of the list in your category. And I want to tell your audience, I don't know exactly the nominating process, the voting process. But if you can vote 2 or 3 times, then vote. Please, people, vote. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I do mean that. And that's why I wanted to come on your show. I want people to understand this is about making history. And there are folk in that Hall of Fame that maybe some folk have heard of. Most people haven't heard of them. But you need to be in that Hall of Fame. And I want your audience to vote and send emails and texts and whatever young people do to communicate. And your name should be at the top when it comes time to count up the votes. And that's why I wanted to come on your show. And that's what I'm going to tell my audience when we have you on my morning show. So I just want you to understand that the feeling is mutual, and my children think I'm hip because I know you anyway.
Oh my gosh, your flowers smell so good.
Hey man, hey,
now I'm cool to them. See, I'm cool.
Oh,
You know Sway?
oh,
I say, yeah, I know Sway.
that's my
man. You cool. My man.
Hey man, hey, I throw your name around
That's
too,
cute.
Joe. That's how I get into important banquets. I just say, yo, is Joe here? Joe Madison here? The Black Eagle here? Oh, tell him I'm here. That's how I get in,
right.
man.
That's how we take care of each other.
Absolutely, man. Hey, but listen, Joe, coming from you, brother, that, like, I mean every word I say. Like, I watch you, I listen to you, I watch how you communicate to the community. You and I have had a chance to be on panels together, and I was just in awe of even your information, your experience, your graciousness. But I also like your power. I like your confidence. I like the fact that you know who you are, and you don't bend, and you never have been, and you never held your tongue. And so and that's,
at least, and I appreciate that. But I grew up with, and I know people are using his name a lot now, but John Lewis. I grew up with John Lewis. I grew up with Julian Bond. I grew up with the Dorothy Heights of the world. Watching the Jesse Jacksons when they were young college students, and names that people will never read in history books. And the one thing I learned from all of them, that if you were real and sincere and spoke truth to power, they would embrace you. Now, if you were not that kind of person, then they really didn't. They just moved on. I have a good friend of mine named Kwame Salter. He went on to become a major corporate force for a big corporation. But during my college years, man, he was hell on wheels and would speak the truth. And Sway, he said one time, he said, look, he said in corporate America, there are two kinds of folk. And he was talking about black people for the most part. And he said there are lapdogs, and then there are Dobermans. And he said, if you're a Doberman, when the owner gets tired of you, he kicks you off the couch. But nobody kicks a Doberman. and he said, and understand something, when a Doberman shows his teeth, he's not necessarily smiling. And I've always remembered that, not to be a hard ass, but to be real and to speak the truth to power. And what I've recognized down through the years, and I think you have too, because you've been through a lot, man. When those who have power respect power, and that's why you're respected in this industry. I'm not the only one who says Sway ought to be in that Radio Hall of Fame, but man, when we started talking on the nominating committee, let me tell you, there were a bunch of folk who spoke up and said, yeah, he should have been here a long time ago. And sometimes it just takes events seem to come together. And it was just last year at that ceremony. And there was no way I was going to stand there and take all those accolades and not show my respect and love for people like you.
The Black Eagle was speaking in the Doberman language, Heather B, and got me on the nominees. I like that. I know what happened.
I love it. But
now, please, it's up to your audience. And then let me please, y'all, just follow the instructions. And I think I don't know. Used to in some cases, if you've got a cell phone, you can vote. If you got an iPad, you can vote. So follow the instructions. And do not hesitate to do what should have been done a long time ago.
Wow. Thank you, Joe Madison, man. Heather, you were going to say something? I appreciate you. Bro.
To Joe Madison, hi, good morning. This is Heather. What Mr. Madison says, citizens of Sway in the morning, is so true. What I'm taking from this conversation is that when Mr. Madison spoke about once you get into a position, you have to speak up. And I think that's so beautiful. And that lends to a responsibility that we all have. It may take some time for you to get there. As we were speaking about that earlier, Sway did not start with the Sway in the Morning show on Sirius XM. This has been a marathon for him. But when you get into a position to speak up and say something and to do right by other people, you have to do that. So thank you. We remember when you came by the show. I believe your wife was there as well when you came by the show.
My wife is wherever I am, and that's why I stay out of trouble. And and that's why she's the executive producer of the show. So as I tell people, she is management. I'm labor. I only do what she tells me to do. So no, that's been the biggest blessing of my life, other than these children that we have, and thank God I'm not bailing any of them out of jail, and I'm not. I don't have to hire a lawyer, and now, man, they're out there protesting with Black Lives Matter, and and I've got a grandson, 14 years old, who's running around with a Dump Trump T-shirt on.
Little eagle.
Baby eagle.
Got a lot of little eagles flying around the air, hovering.
He's got a T-shirt that says, on the front, says 11.3.20. And so 11/3/20. So what is that?
November 3rd, 2020?
2020. That's right.
Yep.
And then when he walks away, on the back in big bold letters, dump Trump. Man, go on.
Hey, Joe, can I ask you a question? Do you recall the last time you spoke with John Lewis?
Oh, yeah, he's a fraternity brother of mine.
Wow.
And, now let me to be honest with you, it wasn't a heavy conversation. I became Sigma. I became an honorary member of Sigma. And the last time I talked to him, we were at an event, and he looked at me and laughed and said, "Well, brother, welcome to the Big Blue. Welcome to the Big Blue. But you got in easy. I came in the hard way." That's the last conversation.
That's real, though.
That's real talk.
I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and your audience that we had some heavy conversation. But one of the last times that I really remember we spent some quality time together was Mississippi Civil Rights Museum had opened, and in Jackson, Mississippi, and there is a major exhibit of John Lewis's work. And afterwards, we ended up at the airport together, and I remember we were just sitting in a corner. It wasn't very busy, but I remember two things. One, how people of all races, all age groups, kept coming up to him, John, and just showing their appreciation and their love, and just how, how do I put it? There was no big-headedness about it. He treated everybody gracious. He was very gracious. And, you mentioned early on, you observe people. And I'm an observer of people. And you observe people, and you see how celebrities act and how they respond to people that come up to them. And he was so gracious. And then, afterwards, it kind of thinned out, and we sort of sat there and talked about certain issues, certain bills that needed to be passed. And that's what I like to take away, is to watch how people who have done great things, but yet they're gracious.
Yeah,
and everybody who meets him. I was in a retail store, and a lady came up to me and said, John Lewis was just here, and he was so nice. He was so gracious. But I'm going to say this to you, and I said it this morning on my show. John Lewis was no lightweight. John Lewis was militant. John Lewis was militant. You have to be one militant person to be nonviolent and to take what he had to take. I just talked to Dr. Satcher earlier today, and Dr. Satcher, who's former Surgeon General, and he was talking about, and I didn't know this about him, his new book. He was talking about how he was president of his class at Morehouse. He had been arrested 5 times, even though he was a top student. How he used to walk 5 miles to go to Ebenezer to hear Dr. King, and I did not know that about Dr. Satcher, that he had been involved in the nonviolent movement. I mean, that generation of who are now dying off, C.T. Vivian, John Lewis, Julian Bond, Joe Laurie. They were a unique group of people, a very unique group of people, and took a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage. You can't be a lightweight and do what they did. Yeah, absolutely. And not at all. So I and people need to remember, John Lewis did say that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. You don't hear that much now, but he did say that. So he was a militant in his own right.
Yep. Joe Madison is here, and Dr. David Satcher wrote a book, "Is My Quest for Healthy Equity."
Yes, My Quest for Healthy. Yeah, he said he almost died when he was 2 years old. That's how he got into medicine. That he almost died from the whooping cough when he was 2 years old, and most people didn't know that about him.
Joe Madison, you really, along with these citizens, I've been on a natural endorphins high as it is, but just to have you on the show, and it's even beyond the show, I just love whenever you and I can interact. And I appreciate your words because I respect you so much and all that you do and continue to do. And thank you for your vote of confidence and even suggesting my name as one of the nominees.
One correction, Sway. I did not suggest. I demanded.
There you go, man.
Militant.
Let's go.
It's so graciously militant, that Joe Madison. I love it, man.
Yo, that's the energy.
Yo, and man, you know what? You can find them on Urban View Monday through Fridays, right?
Oh, boy. Let me tell you, man. The lines are lit before we even turn on the mic. So, folks, and all I got to tell you is wear your mask and vote, man. Please, folks, please. I understand the protest. I can appreciate what folks are trying to do. Don't let people kidnap the movement now. There are a lot of folk out there who I don't know what they're doing, but most important of all, 11/3/20. Just keep that date in your head, 11/3/20.
There it is. Joe Madison, man. Big round of applause. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I'll be talking to you Wednesday, okay?
Sure. I hope so. I definitely
Absolutely.
look forward to it. God bless
Okay.
everybody.
God bless you. Salute.
You
man.
too.
That's Joe Madison right there. I'm good right now, y'all. I ain't got much more to say, man. Mike Muse coming up with the political news, I guess. We can do that next.
I guess.
All right. That's Joe Madison. Hold on. I'm going to put on a button-down shirt. We coming right back. Sway in the Morning, Shade 4 or 5.